Alright, stop the music. Seasalt Sanji here with another video. A lot of things are going on right now on my channel. A lot of more views, a lot of more, I guess, interesting people are watching my videos. For those who enjoy what I make, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for leaving your comments. Even the people who don't like what I do. You don't like what I make or you disagree with whatever I say, you leave a comment, you watched it. Thank you anyway. Uh, like I told you before, I like talking about these topics. So it's it's like a field day for me, really. You don't piss me off. I do it with a smile on my face. So whatever. Uh, I've been in the military 6 years. Spent 6 years in the army. I've had meaner, more batter ass people say the most vilest, ill conceived things to me that most of y'all would be crying in a corner somewhere. So I develop a very thick skin. Um, I just take it with a smile. Uh, I've dished it out and I've taken it. So playing the dozens and talking dirty, I do it every day. So I'm just doing it on a different scale. Anyway, to get away from all that, uh, let me take a little sip here. Yes, I like my death liquid. It makes it a little easier to swallow. Yeah, if you're looking what that is, that's a DC Rob Dyrdek special. You know, it's missing the lucky rabbit's foot because sometimes you just gotta make your own luck. Um, take it, make your own luck, and seize it. Uh, yeah, and I got shoes to match it, so yeah, whatever. But anyway, not what I chose to talk about today. Um, well, like I said, things are popping off of my channel. But I know a lot of people are getting their feathers ruffled about, people, accuse things of being woke, whatever the hell that means. I know what it means. I know what it used to mean. Um, but I know how it's been warped, It used to mean something positive. Now it doesn't. Um, I I haven't watched a lot of the Marvel movies. Uh, I've watched probably the last Iron Man, the Iron Man 3, the Avengers, the first Avengers. I never really watched Infinity Wars, Infinity, or Endgame. I didn't even bother with it. Age of Ultron, never. I watched part of it, and it just, I don't know. Even some parts of Captain America. I watched the first Captain America, but the Winter Soldier, there's some things about it that just, no. Um, a guy with a metal arm. He puts that metal arm up and he just walks through an entire apartment complex with trained marksmen, SWAT teams and whatnot, or I don't know what they are, SEAL teams or whatever the hell they are. Um, they're shooting at him and he blocks all the bullets just with his arm. No, I could throw a rock and hit you in the head with. I mean, even with your arm up. I mean, you think that one little metal arm's going to block all the bullets? Like, no, no. That's garbage. Um, some people like it. Some people think it's no. There's some things that doesn't make logic. And plus, Captain America, he's a little too much of a Boy Scout for me. Uh, I just never really got into him. If he's your thing, fine. I don't care. Um, but you know, uh, but that's the one things that I wanted to avoid in my story. Um, the Boy Scout S type character. I wanted a little bit of shades of gray in there. For y'all don't know, writing my own story. It's an editing process now. I got my cover art and everything done, and I plan on releasing it probably near the end of the year or beginning of next year. Um, but there's just so many things going on nowadays with all these super comic book characters that aren't right. Um, Batman and Superman are only the tip of the iceberg, really. It's just what I could focus on at the time. Um, there's so many tropes that I wanted to tackle in anime and in the comic book industry, the comic book stories. Uh, if you have some character that he battles, has conflict, he grows stronger, like a shonen manga. Eventually, he rises to the point where he is considered a god. Whether it be like Superman being a god, and I can go off on that. Um, in the last installment, Man of Steel, they they took the part of where Superman is called Kal El, and that's his real Kryptonian name, and it sounds a lot like the Hebrew word "son of God." And the director or whoever got a hold of that little tidbit of information, and they ran with it, and they made him like Jesus, literally, like the oil rig scene is a baptism, and he's purified of the alter ego of Clark Kent, and he's just Superman. Like Clark Kent died, and he's reborn as Superman now. And then he goes up into space and he T poses like he's being crucified, and then his real father, Kryptonian father, says, "My one and only child, son, I sent to Earth and to save it." Like the way Jesus, died for our sins and whatnot. If that's what you believe, whatever, I don't care. I'm not getting into religion here, but he made him look like Jesus. But the fact of the matter is, Hebrew words are in a lot of our languages. Hebrew, Arabic, uh, Old Latin, especially. It's probably 90% of the English language is based off of other words from other languages. And the word heretite, which is a Hebrew word, is the word that heroism, the word hero, all those words come from the Hebrew word called heretite. Okay? So you can relate all superheroes to the Hebrew language. It's not that hard to do. It's not that big of a stretch. And so it's sounding like a Hebrew word. Most people back then, they just picked Hebrew or Arabic because it sounds alien to a Western ear. Just the way Cleon is based off of Arabic in Star Trek. Um, it just sounds alien to a Western ear. And that's normally what people are going for. So it really doesn't mean son of God. Superman ain't the son of God. He ain't Jesus. They ruin him with that. Um, that's one things and even with anime, like Naruto, you got the gods of Shinobi, and you got the reincarnation aspect. The gods of of Shinobi being reincarnated as Hashirama, and then Naruto. I forgot the original two, but and then Madara and Sasuke, they're being reincarnated over and over again. It's just a Buddhist or a Hindu, uh, I think it's Hindu interpretation of that, and that's what's more prevalent in Japan. There is Christianity in Japan, but it's more prevalent, and they base off that. Um, even One Piece, sun god Nika, and there's even Buddhism, and there's a lot of Christianity in One Piece as well. A lot of people don't want to focus on that. Um, if you look at Ace, for example, having the cross on his back, he could have had that tattoo anywhere on his body, but he has it on his back. The reason why Ace has that on the back is the cross that he bears, just like the way Jesus carried his cross on his back to his crucifixion. Yeah, okay. And the Son and the Father, the Holy Ghost. You got Whitebeard, Ace, and then Gold Roger. Yeah, and then he gets crucified. He gets killed, impaled. Yeah, there's similarities there. A lot of people just avoid. Um, but yeah, there's Christianity type hints in there, sprinkled in there, and then you got Zoro Buddhism. That's all over it. But anyway, I don't know. There's a lot of religion in these things, and you can't help but talk about it because it influences so much in culture and whatnot. Uh, but the God trope is something that I wanted to flip on its head. I didn't want a character to get strong and come invulnerable and be able to walk through walls or and everything else. Because like Superman, he's strong enough to punch somebody through a wall and through buildings and whatnot. But after the third movie, you've seen him doing that. It gets kind of old. I wanted to flip that on its head. I didn't want a character that had the invulnerability or the strength of a god. I wanted a character that had the ability to create and the, the understanding of a god, the ability to understand all languages. Because in my mind, like, okay, if you pray to a god, does it matter what language that you pray to that god in? Uh, does that god understand all languages? Uh, no, it's a lot of things that a lot of people don't think about. Um, I don't know how you feel, but whatever. Uh, it's something a lot of people don't think about. And to me, if a God is supposed to be omniscient and supposed to answer all prayers, you should be able to understand all languages. Um, so that's the reason why I had him have the understanding of a God and be able to hear a language that he's never heard before and automatically be able to understand it. I wanted him to have the creativity and be able to create things like a God. Uh, like, the biblical aspects of God. He created man out of clay and the dirt and the clay with his own hands, and that's the way I wanted my character to do. I wanted him to create things with his own hands, not like magic. Just wave a imagine it and poof it, there it is. No, I want him to have to do something physical to create things. But he had the ability to create. If he can see it in his head, he could do it. I wanted to flip that on his head. There's a lot of other tropes, sci-fi. The spaceship blows up at the end. Star Wars, etc. Star Wars is just one that comes off my head, but there's plenty of others. Independence Day. Um, when that happens in my story, we're just getting started good. That's not even a vocal point. It blows up. Yeah, there's a starship in it. Anyway, focus. Anyway, um, these are the things that I wanted to focus on in my story. I didn't write this story to get rich or get famous or anything like that. I wrote this story because I had something in my head, a vision of characters and whatnot. And it bounced around in my head for probably close to a year. I was like, what, I need to write this down. And before I knew it, I was halfway into it. Looking back, I was halfway into it. I didn't know it at the time. And then the author Berserk passed away. And Berserk is a big influence on my story. I didn't copy anything from the story. What I did is I copied a story writing mechanic that Berserk has. Um, Berserk, you start off with the Black Swordsman, and then you see him missing an arm. You see him with all his scars on his face. You see how strong he is, how he's swinging the sword. but you don't know how he got that way. And then it goes back and it starts over when he's young. You still see the scar on his nose, and it goes back even further and tells you how he got that scar on his nose. But he has all the scars, and it goes back in how he missed that arm. And throughout the whole entire flashback, because the story is a big flashback, you're holding your breath, wondering, is this going to be the blow that takes that arm off? It's going to be the blow that makes that scar on his face or makes him lose that eye. You don't know when it's going to happen, but you know that it's going to happen, and you're looking for it. That's one thing that I wanted to emulate in my story. Um, yes, he has a sword, but there's lots of other stories that have swords, so I don't. It's not a berserk thing, so whatever. I mean, it is a berserk thing, you have a big old sword, but it's not strictly a berserk. But that's one thing I wanted to emulate in my story. Um, but like I said, I didn't write it to be rich or anything. And when Kintaro, when he passed away, it and I was halfway through my story, it I got to thinking, like, what if I die and I don't finish this? The thought of that just made me sick to my stomach, and it just compelled me even more to want to finish it, to see it through. And I just got like, I got this far. I need to go to the next step. What's the next step? I need to do this. I've done that. Well, I need to do it. Just I got so entrenched in it that I just needed to finish it. I didn't really do it to get famous or rich or anything. I don't care as long as I break even. Even if I don't break even, I'll be happy. I did it. I did it for me in a selfish kind of way, because I said I had that gnawing feeling in my gut that I had to do it. And I believe it's a good story. It's compelling. It has, humor, it has serious stuff in it. I've read it about 4 times over, and there's still some parts of it that make me excited. And there's still some parts of it that kind of get to me and stir some emotions up. So I know if it does that for me, it'll do that for other people as well. Um, I went over it thoroughly, tried to avoid all plot holes. I hate plot holes. That's one of the reasons why I don't really care for Naruto. Sorry, not sorry. But I might make a video on that one day. Some plot holes in Naruto that a lot of people don't even think about. Um, but yeah, it still stirs up emotion for me. I still enjoy it. And I think a lot of other people will enjoy it too. And I can't wait to get it out. Um, I just hate all these other stories with an incompetent male figure, um, and then you have these, uh, Mary Sue type characters who come in and they get everything handed to them, and they haven't went through nothing. Nothing's compelling about it. Just get everything handed to them. Um, and if you want to write a smart um, female character, do it. But don't write an average female character and make everybody else dumb. That's not the way to do it. Write a smart female character, main protagonist. That's great. Do that. If she's some kind of nerd or some smart battle prowess or tactician, okay, great. She can even be a mechanic. I don't care. I was a mechanic. I was around other female mechanics in the army. I don't care. All right. There's some good female mechanics out there. Usually, when a female is in a male dominated role, they're pretty fucking good, okay? If you see a female truck driver or a female mechanic, they're probably pretty good because they had to prove themselves, okay? So, hey, if they can walk the walk, more power to them. Hurrah. Huh. Whatever. Go for it. You know? But don't write a okay, average female character and then have everybody else just dumb and incompetent. I'm tired of that too. I'm tired of, male incompetent father figures. I'm tired of fathers figures being disrespected, and kids growing up watching that thinking it's okay to disrespect your father. Like, no, so no, it's not. Uh, uh-uh. That wouldn't fly on my age, and I don't think it should fly now. But no, you don't do that. There's boundaries. There's boundaries for everybody. People don't know what those are any day nowadays. Anyway, like how long this videos went on, I like talking about these things. This is what I like to do. I would do it. I do it anyway, whether I get paid for it, become famous or not. You know, if you enjoy what you hear, you like what you see, my face. Anyway, you know what to do. Hit those buttons. Send me a like, comment, whether you like it or not. I don't care. I enjoy talking about it. Type away. Whatever. Sea salt. Peace.